I'm Eric Peterson, and this is a summary of the Hillsborough Board of Commissioners meeting from October 13th, 2014. Probably the biggest discussion item from the evening was regarding the noise ordinance. I think late last year we had several residents of the downtown area came and expressed their concerns when the hot tin roof opened up due to noise concerns and the bands. And the hot tin roof has been very cooperative, and they've made adjustments, so it appears that most of the concerns now are coming from when they have outdoor bands with amplified music. And the Chief Hampton made a presentation to the board and shared information that he had gathered from going out in the field, doing surveys, and I believe it was back in September, they had Hot Tin Roof had 2 bands on back-to-back weekends. Chief went out with noise meters and took noise readings from a lot of the different areas, including from locations of residents that had expressed concern, and some places, anyway, just gave them a lot more information, which was critical in being able to then make some recommendations on what type of adjustments do we need to make to the noise ordinance. So the chief presented, which was very entertaining yet effective. He called it his restaurant menu approach to solving the problem, and this allowed the town board to discuss and provide direction on which way they wanted to handle things. And there was quite a few topics. So some of the highlights included, for instance, was, did the board want this to apply townwide on the noise ordinance or just in specific areas? So in this case, the board said, well, it should be townwide. It's uniform and makes it easier to enforce. Some of the areas were also limiting what time of day and night. For example, Friday and Saturday nights, it would make sense to allow music to go a little bit deeper into the evening. It'd be also maybe limits on how many times a year you can have outdoor amplified music. We don't know what that number is yet, but so it's not a regular occurrence, and quite a few other things, and also an exception, so people wanted to apply for a special permit that wasn't covered, then there would be a process to do that. So the chief is now going to take all that information and direction from the town board and hopefully get a noise ordinance update in the next month or two to the board for further discussion, public input, and then adoption moving forward. Murphy Oil is a gas station company that locates frequently in Walmarts. A representative from Murphy Oil came to the town board to get their feedback or feelings on how the board might feel about a proposal if they came back. Basically, Murphy Oil wants to build a gas station and convenience store in the Walmart parking lot. The area where they want to locate it at is closer to the Home Depot side, but still in the Walmart parking lot, up against the fence, which is the opposite end of the parking lot, right there by the railroad tracks, and then the Beckett's Ridge subdivision, and probably a little bit of the Wildwood subdivision that borders that. The convenience store would take up, and gas station, apparently about 104 parking spaces. The response that the representative from Murphy Oil got was not very supportive from the town board nor from the staff. The board said, of course, it's their right to come in and request a modification to the special use permit, and the reason that avenue would have to be followed would be when the project was approved. The developers agreed, and it was put in the plan that there would only be one gas station on that site. And so one of the questions the board raised was, if there's a gas station there, there's already a gas station, Eagles, at the corner, and then it appears that Sheets will be going in across the street. Does that really make sense from a market standpoint, and is it would it be a hindrance to the development to have all that traffic, extra traffic driving across there? So those were some concerns that were raised. Additionally, staff raised, the planning director and myself were here when Hampton Point came in and spent a lot of time with concerned residents in Wildwood and Beckett's Ridge due to lighting issues. So we were concerned about lighting coming in with there, and then noise issues as well. And so we did a lot of work. I know the first person from Murphy Oil said, well, it's 500 feet away, it shouldn't be a problem. But it was a problem back then, and staff anticipates it'd be a concern. even in spite of that feedback, the Murphy Oil representative indicated that he's planning on coming back with the proposal. So if that does indeed happen, we'll make sure that the public is well aware that this special use permit modification request is coming forward, and let everybody know how they can come share their thoughts, their concerns, and questions they want to raise. So we'll stay tuned. Had an update from Orange County's Chief Information Officer. The county has made been making an emphasis on trying to expand wireless and internet access to parts of the county that are underserved or where there's a lot of use, such as at the county facilities. They've been adding wireless onto their buildings throughout the county. In the process of looking at this, Time Warner Cable told Orange County and proposed that they would like to expand, create a wireless network on a portion of Churton Street in the downtown area, basically running from the river all going north to Tryon Street. So this corridor would penetrate about 300 feet east and west, and then on each end. So it would cover a decent area, and that would be at no charge to the county nor the town. And if Time Warner customers could use it for free, and their proposal would be that anybody else could use it, for example, for up to an hour a day without any charge on it. So that's seemed like a pretty good deal. The board did not need to vote on it, since this is something Time Warner can do. They can just put the equipment on the cables. The board did express an interest and asked Orange County CIO if he could propose to Time Warner, would you be willing to push wireless into other areas of Hillsborough? Solar panels. The Solarize Hillsborough project seems to be getting a lot of interest and a lot of momentum, and not just in Hillsborough, but in the surrounding area, which is great. With the historic district downtown, as folks are well aware, there's a reasonable amount of restriction and process you have to go through to maintain the integrity of the architecture and the appeal of the historic district. So the town board was requesting that the Historic District Commission just take a look at their design guidelines and to make sure that they're congruent with state law. And this is important since a few years ago a state law was passed stating that you can basically, municipality cannot prohibit solar panels. So the HDC will have the ability to regulate and maybe have to, for example, you could have solar panels that they might have to be screened or put in a different location, but you ultimately can't prohibit it. So the board was just asking the HDC to take a look at that. The board also heard a presentation from a group called the Development Finance Initiative. It is a branch that operates out of the UNC School of Government. And what they do is they focus on economic development in public-private partnerships, often on refurbishing old facilities and bringing them up so they're productive or can turn into a business and contribute to the tax value in many other ways. So the town engaged DFI, as we call them, to take a look at the historic Bellevue Mill on South Nash Street. And what was really helpful about this is anytime an economic development project comes about like this and it's involving the government, a lot of times a developer might say, oh, we just can't make this work unless you give us a contribution, or we need this. And the governments weren't a lot of times not experts on this, so you don't have a way to verify it. DFI comes in, they do a pro forma, then they're able to give guidance and advice to the local governments to say, okay, doing this is reasonable, doing this is not reasonable, and it's overkill. So it's basically being good stewards of the taxpayers' money and helps the elected officials make a well-informed decision. So DFI basically gave a proposal, talked about some of the options, and the options that would be in the town's best interest and would be enough to effectively help facilitate the development of the mill. At the same time, if there's something that can be done, you want to make sure that you're doing enough to help it if it's within your means. So good news is there has been an offer to purchase the mill in order to take care of the historic tax credits in North Carolina before the end of the year. That is important, so it looks optimistic.